Give us a little rundown on your three seniors for their final game, just some thoughts on their careers.
Well, first I would tell you, senior nights is for the players. In the case, obviously, of Troy and Kevin, I think, obviously the fans identify with them because they've watched them grow up. They've done so much for the program. They've done a lot in the community that hasn't been talked about. I think probably because Kevin's father is from Cincinnati. There's many times where he grabs them and takes them to little kids, community centers, what have you, and they go at all. They say yes every time. So they've been great ambassadors for the program. They've won us a lot of games, obviously. Zach is. I guess Zach probably got to John Meeker status with the exalted walk-on status. Would Meeker be maybe the good analogy for that, popularity-wise?
Meeker didn't have his own video.
Yeah, I don't think Meeker didn't have the video board, but I think that guys like Zach Tobler. And Kevin and Troy, guys in our first-round NBA draft picks, let's just be honest. I think they get lost in the shuffle of what college basketball is all about, even at the highest level, because the national media talks so much about who's going to be a pro, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but, announcers, a kid makes a shot, that's a pro move. No, it's not. If he was a pro, he'd be playing in the NBA. It's not a pro move. Guy made a tough shot against college players, but what gets lost in the shuffle is these kids are under a lot of pressure to perform at the highest level. They got coaches pushing them to their limits to get teams to the NCAA tournament. This day and age, it's hard to be young with the Spacebook era of, whatever you want to call it all, Twitter, Spacebook, MySpace, whatever, I don't know. But, they get ridiculed on that stuff. It's not easy. So Troy and Kevin have been through a lot. Zach is the ultimate warrior, and he's getting ready to retire into the ultimate outdoorsman that he is. So probably the only player, I never say anything negative towards Zach or tough on Zach because I know that he owns multiple firearms. When I ask a guy what he got for Christmas and he starts talking about a shotgun, just if he takes a bad shot, don't say a word. But he's a great kid. It's just time flies by, so fast. It's amazing.
You're playing a Houston team that's pretty hot. Has top 4 scorers in the league. That's a tough challenge.
Well, so the team's won 7 of their last 8 since they've got Devin Davis back, and their only loss is SMU in a game that they had major foul trouble and could have easily won. And SMU, in my opinion, is a top 10 team in the country. So that's how well they're playing. They never trailed against Memphis the other night on the road. Damian Dotson's as good a perimeter player as there is in our league. He's a first-team all-league player. I think if they were to win their last 2 and make the NCAA tournament, he would arguably maybe be player of the year in our league, him or Semi Ojeleye. So that's how good he is. Rob Gray on that is the leading scorer in the conference. Dotson in their last 5 is averaging 26 a game. I said this the first time we played him, I don't know the number, but Kelvin Sampson's win like 650 games. He's taken, I think it's North Carolina, Wilmington, Washington State, Oklahoma, Indiana. When he gets Houston to the NCAA tournament, that'll be his 5th school. The guy knows how to win games. He's a great college basketball coach. He does a great job of motivating kids. I knew this was coming, Houston's rebirth, the minute he got hired. I think just them being healthy has been huge for them. They've been on a run of that. They beat good teams along the way, and they're 7 of 8. They beat Connecticut, who's playing really well. They won at Memphis, so they beat Central Florida. So they're playing really well. So they're concerned. They can score. Their last 3 road games, they got 75, 93, and like 72 the other night. So that's on the road. So they got a potent offense.
Your thoughts on Fifth Third Arena in the last game here as its president, you figure?
I mean, I haven't thought a lot about it, but for me, I would just revert to my days of being a fan. Growing up, wishing that the Bearcats were in the '80s, were as good as all the other college teams, so I could root for my Bearcats. So, for me, it all goes back to Bob Huggins, and the Steve Sanders shot, and Herb Jones being the key guy that turned everything around, and then obviously the Final Four run, and then it all kick-started the resurgence of the program. That being said, I'm glad it's the last game in Fifth Third Arena. I'm excited about the arena project, and it's much needed. And the guys that have sweated for the program and have done so much to get our program where it's at should be proud that we're getting a new arena. But yeah, I mean, for me, the nostalgia of it all would take me back to when I was younger, and how exciting it was, and when Coach Huggins got here and we started winning.
Do you remember the first game you saw in there in person?
In person, I don't.
Okay.
Showing my age. But I wasn't there, but I was in high school when Steve Sanders hit that shot. I remember that like it was yesterday. We need to bring him out Thursday night, see if he can do it in front of people again.
Do you, a lot of the experts have you like 4 or 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. Do you look at that? How much do you look at that stuff? And
Zero. And I'm not, zero. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I'll just give you the quickest answer. My first year at Murray State, we were at 12. We played Illinois as a 5. In the same pod, Cincinnati was a 4, played East Tennessee State. Probably Coach Huggins' worst NCAA tournament team. They were in disarray late in the year. They had guys suspended, guys injured. East Tennessee State lost at the buzzer. We played Illinois a very tough game, and then they blew Cincinnati out. They were down 24 in the first half. Illinois had multiple NBA players. Darren Williams was their best player. And they were clearly the better team. Talent-wise, wasn't even close, Big Ten champs. That same team the next year went like 34-2 or 34-1, that Illinois team. So they were a 5 and Cincinnati was a 4. So, I mean, you just don't know. I mean, you could get, it's the luck of the draw. And I'm a firm believer in that the NCAA tournament committee and everything is so financially driven that no matter what is said on that Sunday, they're trying to sell tickets. So you may get moved to seed line and it may not be us, but teams could get moved around from a 4 to a 5 or a 8-9 out of that to a 7-10 to get that pod to sell more tickets. Now nobody will admit that because it's all about the student athlete, supposedly. But it's a business. If it wasn't a business, we'd be able to have a bus trip in the conference we played in. And that goes for our women's soccer team. My buddy Hilton that coaches our men's team. Neil coaches our women's team. From all the way to soccer, we don't have a bus trip. So don't tell me it's not all about money. So that's why you can throw all that stuff out.
So you're saying the difference between for you guys being a 5 and a 6 potentially could be selling tickets, location?
Oh, that's a fact. That for everybody. I mean that for everybody. Yeah, that's a fact.
So like you've been bitten.
I mean that's just business. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I can tell you, I've tried to get back into Maui. I don't know if you've ever been. It's a great place. But we got subbed into Maui late. Louisville pulled out, so we didn't have a chance to package it for our fans. But we can't get the invite back because we didn't bring any fans. So it's not. Now we played in the finals and a great game, probably one of the best final games they've ever had, an overtime game against Gonzaga that year. But anybody that thinks this isn't a business is wrong. Living in a fantasy land. And so that's why I tell you, you could sit there and think, well, we won this game, we'll move up. You could move up, but then you could end up playing a tougher team because the seedings were wrong. So it really, you better just worry about coaching your team. The rest of it's a waste of time.
Going back to the Houston game for a second, how does
I think huge for them. They were really thin on the front line without him, and they had to play some guys extended. They had to go really small, which is tough against us because of Gary and Kyle. Or their bigger guys can't score the way he can. So he gives them a big body guy that was a former top 75 recruit before he had the accident and the injury at Indiana. He can score, and he's a good player. He's not a great athlete, but he's a winner. He'll take a charge. He understands position. He's getting back to where he's playing really well. We tried to recruit him out of JUCO. Tried hard to recruit him out of junior college. So it doesn't surprise me how well he's playing now that he's healthy. So he gives them a lot in a lot of ways. I mean, he's a veteran player. He's a high-skilled player. And it's a big reason why they're scoring so many more points. Because, obviously he's not averaging big numbers, but you have to guard him. So you can't just load up on Dotson and Gray all the time, because he can play. He can make 15, 17 footers, and he's got a good one-on-one game as well.
So is he a game plan changer in terms of how he compared to last
He just spreads you out more. He spreads your help out more, because it's really hard to guard Rob Gray one-on-one. Almost impossible. He's just that good off the dribble. He can create his own shot so much, and Dotson's just making guarded shots. I mean, he's making shots that. Right now, Damian Dotson's making shots that other kids don't even take. And then you look at the articles, and Coach Sampson I think they were struggling, and he went to him. He said, look, you just got to shoot. If you're open, it's a good shot, shoot it. And since then, their last 5, he's averaging over 26 a game. That's a lot now, over a 5-game stretch now. That's not a 1-game shot. That's against good teams now. SMU's in that group. 3 road games in SMU, and he's averaging over 26. So we got our work cut out for. I said it last week. Our last 3 games are going to be tough. So we got no time to worry about bids and seeding and all that. We're worried about that stuff. We're going to be in deep trouble. We need to worry about getting ready to win a game. It's hard to win a game in college basketball, and I'll leave you with this: when you win a lot of them, I think you start to take it for granted. You don't realize how hard it is just to win 1 game. Oh, well, I try. It's college coach. I approach it probably more like a high school coach because of the way I was raised. But as a college coach, you're the last person that's ever going to have some say-so over those guys. Because you got their scholarship and you got their playing time, and you got a chance to use that to get them to see right from wrong, mature from immature, to try to teach them how to make decisions, and a lot whether the decision is what to eat, when to go to sleep. Troy and Kevin have got great parents, so they came in knowing how to treat people. They came in, they're intelligent kids that have had a lot of advantages that some of our kids, quite frankly, don't have. But the real world's different, so I try to do everything I can to be honest with them about what they're going to face in the real world and get them ready for it. Because the real world's not fair. Everybody doesn't get to play. It's not like Little League T-ball. So I do everything I can to try to help them, to get them ready, to arm them for what's going to happen when they're out of here, and it's all business. There's no love in business. And I mean the business of basketball or the business world, So do everything I can to work on that.